He had the badge, he had the power, and he fancied himself a ladies' man.
He's arrogant, cocky, self-confident. It was just his personality.
He was a thug. He would threaten people because he had a gun in a bag.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, Drew. Oh God.
You can bury evidence, but it will come back to get you.
The third wife. Okay, what happened? Don't know. What would you say to Stacy, your fourth wife? Come home.
I miss Stacy. I'm not giving up until I bring him home.
There's no safe place for a woman who is married to a police officer.
They're going to turn it around. And it's like, well, she wouldn't have left if you weren't such a bad... What?
Drew Peterson is very suspicious, very sneaky.
Drew Peterson is a murderer and a liar.
Ini bukanlah berita biasa, namun benar-benar kisah nyata dari seorang penegak hukum. Ia adalah polisi terbaik, sekaligus terkenal, sangat arogan. Dan ia juga serakah, penebar pesona pada wanita yang ulung, dan peselingkuh yang ulung. Tetapi hal yang fatal, dari 4 pernikahannya, 1 istrinya tewas, dan istri termudanya menghilang tanpa jejak. Kasus ini telah menjadi berita utama internasional. Lalu, apa yang terjadi sesungguhnya? Ikutilah kisah ini yang akan dikupas lebih dalam lagi dalam tayangan kisah nyata dokumenter khas K Channel. Selengkapnya sesaat lagi hanya di YouTube K Channel, membuka jendela dunia.
Things about Drew Peterson that made this into a big story. First of all, he was one of the good guys. He was a decorated cop, and he murdered the mother of his children.
Ini adalah kisah tentang tipuan dan kejahatan yang dilakukan tanpa mau bertaubat. Inilah Drew Peterson, seorang polisi terbaik, tetapi ia akan menjadi sangat terkenal karena kejahatannya yang di luar batas. Sebelum akhir tahun 2007, ia hanya seorang polisi yang tidak dikenal. Tetapi dunia akan segera mengenalnya karena perilaku aneh dan kepercayaan dirinya yang tidak tergoyahkan sebagai polisi pembunuh terkenal dan menjadi cerita terbesar nasional dan internasional. Pria yang tadinya dikenal sebagai orang baik dan seorang polisi yang dihormati, ternyata mengakhiri hidup seorang ibu dari anak-anaknya sendiri dan melenyapkan istri termudanya tanpa jejak sama sekali. Drew Peterson lahir pada 5 Januari 1954 di Bolingbrook, Illinois, Amerika Serikat. Ia terdidik sangat disiplin dari sang ayah yang seorang marinir. Teman kerjanya yang saat sama-sama bekerja di Burger King di pinggiran Chicago mengatakan bahwa Drew adalah seorang pekerja keras yang sangat cerdas.
Drew was a very bright, very dependable, hard-working individual. He had a Marine father. He was really tough and also alcoholic, and they were going out to eat. And the father warned him, be good.
Setelah lulus SMA pada tahun 1972 dari Willbrook High School, ia lalu bergabung dengan Angkatan Darat Amerika Serikat. Dan pada usia 20 tahun, ia masuk divisi elit polisi militer Angkatan Darat Amerika Serikat yang melindungi presiden yang sedang berkunjung, seperti Gerald Ford. Dan sejak menghadiri pesta dansa di sekolah SMA-nya, ia telah jatuh hati pada gadis cantik yang ia temui pada saat itu, Carol Brown. Lalu akhirnya, 2 tahun kemudian, Drew dan Carol menikah pada tahun 1974. Tetapi kemudian pada tahun 1977, Drew meninggalkan tentara. Dan 2 tahun kemudian, ia mulai meniti karirnya di Departemen Kepolisian Bolingbrook di pinggiran Chicago. Dan setahun setelah ia bergabung di Kepolisian Bolingbrook, pada tahun 1978, Drew dipindah tugaskan ke unit narkotika wilayah metropolitan, di mana ia banyak melakukan penyamaran dalam menjalankan tugasnya.
Drew was trained and was to be an expert at covering up and lying and presenting false information.
Kehidupan Drew tampak begitu sempurna. Hanya dalam waktu 2 tahun ia bergabung dengan kepolisian, ia kini mendapatkan penghargaan sebagai polisi terbaik pada tahun ini. Dan itu bertepatan pula dengan anugerah yang baru didapatkannya, dengan lahirnya buah hati mereka, seorang putra pertama yang diberi nama Stephen Paul Peterson. Pada usia 25 tahun, Drew menjadi seorang ayah dari 2 putranya. Dan bagi putranya, Drew adalah ayah yang hebat, ayah yang suka melucu, dan banyak mengerjakan segala hal. Drew selalu berada di samping 2 putranya.
My dad was a great dad. You know, he was a great man, and you would not find a lot of people who would say a lot of bad things about him. Him being a cop was, like I said, the coolest thing in the world, and but overall, I think I just remember always us going camping and fishing and that kind of stuff. Things a good dad would do for his son.
Different people saw Drew differently. So, for instance, with Stephen, he was his son's hero. He represented an authority, trust-loving figure who was fun and at times a hard disciplinarian. But he was dad.
Drew masih bekerja di kepolisian di unit narkotika. Tetapi kini, ia berkembang lebih jauh dari jam-jam kerjanya yang tidak biasa. Dengan standar gaji yang diterima, tetapi Drew mampu hidup jauh dari standar gajinya. Lalu, dari manakah ia dapat menghasilkan uang yang jauh lebih besar?
When Drew started working narcotics, there was a salary and a standard of living that everyone thought that he should have, but he went way beyond that. So the questions remained, how was he making his money?
What have we here?
Nobody really knew, but everybody thought something's just not right with his standard of living.
Drew memang cukup dikenal di seluruh kota ini dan menunjukkan kegemarannya menebar pesona untuk menggoda para wanita. Dan ia kerap terlihat keluar masuk bar dan bersenang-senang dengan para wanita.
He's arrogant, cocky, self-confident. It was just his personality. He was, the best cop. He was the smartest guy. He was the best looking. Look at all the women I have.
I think Drew got a lot of confidence probably in working that undercover cop type thing, because it was his job to go out there and flirt and make friends with these women.
He and his first wife divorced over infidelity, which is a pattern throughout his life.
Tetapi pekerjaannya nampaknya kini tidak lagi sempurna. Drew telah bertindak terlalu jauh dalam mengatur penyelidikan yang tidak sah, hingga ia didakwa melakukan pelanggaran dan kehilangan pekerjaannya. Tetapi Drew terus berjuang keras untuk mendapatkan kembali pekerjaannya, yang akhirnya ia dapatkan kembali.
Drew was charged with misconduct. He did lose his job. He was kicked off that narcotics unit.
Setelah 6 tahun menjalani pernikahan dan memiliki 2 putra, akhirnya Carol Brown dan Drew Peterson bercerai. Setelah Carol mengetahui tentang perselingkuhan suaminya dengan wanita lain. Bahkan banyak rumor mengatakan bahwa Drew bermain dengan banyak wanita, tidak hanya dengan 1 wanita saja. 2 tahun kemudian, pada tahun 1982, Drew Peterson menikahi Vicky Connelly. Pada saat ini, Drew memiliki sebuah bar dan istrinya Vicky yang menjalankan usaha barnya tersebut.
I thought he was kind of an arrogant guy, and but very social, very outgoing. You know, kind of just came in and out of the bar as he pleased and let his wives pretty much run it.
Pada awal tahun 1992, Drew Peterson lagi-lagi tergoda oleh seorang akuntan cantik yang berusia 20 tahun, Kathleen Savio. Tetapi Kathleen tidak tahu bahwa Drew sudah menikah, karena Drew mengatakan ia masih lajang, dan Kathleen mempercayainya. Mereka pun mulai sering berkencan dan menjalani hubungan romantis.
She was really excited about meeting a police officer, and she thought Drew was really nice looking and very, very nice.
Drew started dating Kathleen when he was still married to Vicky. Kathleen's family told me she didn't know he was still married. And this was a pattern that repeated itself throughout his life and throughout his marriages.
Well, she didn't know about that he was married. She thought that he was separated or divorced.
Tetapi tidak lama kemudian, hubungan mereka segera diketahui oleh Vicky. 10 tahun pernikahan mereka yang sering dipenuhi kekerasan yang dilakukan oleh Drew terhadap Vicky akhirnya kandas.
Vicky was in a very serious car accident. There was some rumors, some question of whether Drew tampered with the car, with the brakes. She also said that while their marriage was ending, she woke up one night to find Drew standing over her bed in a menacing way.
Dan Kathleen akhirnya mengetahui bahwa Drew sudah menikah. Tetapi Drew yang pandai meyakinkan orang dengan kebohongannya, menjelaskan pada Kathleen bahwa ia dan istrinya sedang dalam proses perceraian, dengan alasan karena istrinya benar-benar wanita memiliki masalah serius dengan kecanduannya pada bubuk haram. Dan Kathleen mempercayainya, karena saat ini Kathleen benar-benar sangat mencintai Drew.
She was told that he was in the process of getting a divorce, and the person that he was divorcing was a cocaine addict. She was fooled.
For us, it was a bit of a shock because we had just learned that he was getting divorced. So it was a quick transition. It was a quick, here's my new girlfriend, gonna be wife, because they get engaged I thought pretty early.
Hanya beberapa bulan saja setelah perceraian Drew Peterson dan Vicky Connelly pada 18 Februari 1992, kini pada 3 Mei 1992, Drew Peterson menikah dengan Kathleen Savio. Dan pasangan itu tinggal di sebuah rumah yang indah di Pheasant Chase 392 di Bolingbrook, Illinois. Tetapi Kathleen tidak akan pernah bisa membayangkan bahwa menikah dengan Drew akan membawa neraka bagi kehidupannya dan petaka di akhir hidupnya. Di awal pernikahan, mereka tampak begitu bahagia dan penuh cinta. Hingga setahun kemudian, Kathleen melahirkan seorang putra bernama Thomas. Dan pada tahun berikutnya, pada tahun 1994, Kathleen dan Drew dianugerahi buah hatinya yang kedua, seorang putra bernama Christopher.
In the beginning, they were loving. He was loving towards her. She was always loving. She was always wanting him to kiss her and hug her.
Tetapi setelah Kathleen melahirkan putra keduanya, romansa dalam rumah tangga pun berakhir. Drew seperti tidak ada lagi rasa cinta yang menggebu pada Kathleen, seperti yang biasanya ia tunjukkan. Drew mulai banyak menghabiskan waktu di luar rumah untuk bersenang-senang. Drew kini berubah karena ia menganggap Kathleen bukan lagi wanita yang menarik baginya, dan Drew tanpa ragu mengatakannya langsung pada Kathleen. Bahkan Drew sering mengejek istrinya sendiri karena penampilannya yang sudah tidak lagi menarik di matanya.
She was fat. She looked like a dog. She's ugly.
When you looked at them, they looked like they were doing really well. I mean, they really seemed happy. When she got pregnant with her oldest son, you could kind of see the shift in him. You could see him eyeing other women. He was spending more time at the bar and not coming home at night and just doing things, you know. So he was not being good to Kathy. And then you could see her frustration where she was really starting to figure out what was going on here. And she was a very strong person. She wasn't going to put up with this.
Karena Drew yang sudah jarang pulang dan jarang meluangkan waktu untuk anak-anaknya, pernikahan mereka kini mulai sering diwarnai pertengkaran dan kekerasan yang dilakukan Drew. Hingga Kathleen sempat dilarikan ke rumah sakit. Kathleen berada di ruang gawat darurat akibat luka di kepala dan memar-memar berwarna hitam dan biru di sekujur tubuhnya, yang diketahui bahwa itu karena pukulan yang mengenai ke meja.
She called me and she said, Drew her, and he put her through her against the refrigerator. And he says that it's all a lie. They're just trying to start trouble with him.
So you talked to him about that?
Yes, he denied it. He denied it.
Tetapi di kemudian hari, dalam wawancaranya di TV nasional, Drew tidak pernah mengakui tentang kekerasan yang sering dilakukannya.
If I get involved in a domestic situation where I'm physical with a wife, I'll lose my job.
Kebersamaan yang dipenuhi pertengkaran dan berlanjut pada kekerasan secara fisik akhirnya membawa Kathleen segera meminta bantuan polisi. Tetapi teman-teman Drew sesama petugas kepolisian yang menanggapinya. Hingga laporan Kathleen tidak pernah berlanjut. Walaupun Kathleen telah mencoba berulang kali menghubungi polisi, karena Drew selalu berhasil membungkamnya.
Drew Peterson wanted control. He wanted absolute control, absolute obedience, absolute say in every aspect of Kathleen's life. But that wasn't who Kathleen was. She was a spitfire, and she would fight back. Things got violent. Things got ugly. She went to the ER. This was an abusive, violent relationship.
She talked about being put in arm bars or holds that I'm assuming he would have known through his training as a police officer. He talked about multiple occasions being grabbed or pulled. There's too many times for me to remember that many specific instances because it was a constant complaint.
You know, there was a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. We never really saw anything physical, but you know, there was definitely a lot of yelling and screaming and stuff like that we'd hear.
Di saat kondisi pernikahan Drew dan Kathleen tidak dalam baik-baik saja, Drew tidak mencoba memperbaikinya. Tetapi ia justru melanjutkan kegemarannya dalam menggoda wanita. Dan kali ini, ia menebarkan pesonanya pada seorang gadis remaja berusia 16 tahun, bernama Stacy Ann Kells. Stacy adalah gadis remaja yang memiliki kehidupan yang sangat sulit dari sejak kecil. Sehingga di usia remajanya ini, ia harus bekerja. Dan saat ini, ia adalah seorang pegawai di sebuah motel. Setelah pertemuan pertamanya pada malam itu, Drew berhasil mengajaknya kencan. Sementara bagi Stacy, ia memang sangat membutuhkan seseorang untuk menjaga dirinya dan membantu membiayai hidupnya. Walaupun perbedaan usia 30 tahun yang sangat jauh, tetapi Stacy berpikir bahwa Drew adalah pria sempurna yang akan membantu kehidupannya. Apalagi Drew telah berjanji pada Stacy bahwa ia akan menjaganya dan membantu kehidupannya setelah Stacy mengungkapkan keluh kesah dari kesulitan hidupnya.
Drew was incredibly clever at, sniffing out people who had low self-esteem, needed certain types of people in their life. To them, he could represent everything that they lacked. And there is a pattern here of choosing younger women.
Sejak saat itu, Drew yang berusia 47 tahun menjalin hubungan rahasia dengan Stacy yang masih remaja. Bahkan Drew berani membawa Stacy ke rumahnya pada malam hari saat istri dan anak-anaknya terlelap tidur di lantai atas. Drew membawa Stacy ke ruang bawah tanah dan pasangan rahasia beda usia ini mulai melakukan hubungan tak pantas. Mereka lakukan hubungan layaknya suami istri.
I'm not real sure what he said to her to make it okay, but Stacy was okay with that. She said that she liked him a lot.
Drew yang sedang tergila-gila pada Stacy. Selain ia membantu keuangannya, Drew juga membelikan Stacy sebuah mobil baru dan sebuah apartemen lengkap dengan perabotannya.
I didn't like him because she was 16 years old and, you know, she'd always get phone calls when we were together, and when she turned 17, poof, I meet Drew. She had an apartment, it was fully furnished, and here's this cocky old guy.
Namun beberapa lama kemudian, Kathleen mengetahui hubungan suaminya dengan gadis remaja itu. Pada akhir tahun 2001, sebuah surat kaleng dikirim untuk Kathleen yang menjelaskan secara rinci tentang perselingkuhan Drew dengan Stacy.
Everyone knew that he was dating Stacy.
Bagaimanapun, sebuah perselingkuhan adalah musuh pernikahan. Selain sangat menyakitkan dan berdampak pada mental, perselingkuhan tidak akan pernah memperoleh kebaikan sedikitpun. Yang ada hanyalah kehancuran. Dan itu sangat dirasakan oleh Kathleen yang benar-benar merasa hancur. Setelah mencoba bertahan selama 11 tahun dalam pernikahan, akhirnya Kathleen memutuskan untuk mengajukan gugatan cerai. Dan pada saat ini, Drew memberikan sebuah rumah untuk kekasih gelapnya yang masih remaja dan tinggal bersamanya, yang hanya berjarak sekitar 1/4 mile dari rumah Drew bersama istrinya Kathleen. Karena pada saat ini, hubungan gelap Drew dan Stacy telah membuahkan janin dalam perut Stacy.
He called me up and let me know he was seeing someone new, and he wanted me to meet her. And kind of, I remember the last thing he said before we hung up was, "Oh, and by the way, she's a little younger, than you're used to." I go over there, and then that's when I met her. I remember telling one of my friends about it, that I couldn't believe he's doing that. I couldn't believe of all the people he's, with a young girl. It was pretty hard to take.
Penderitaan Kathleen kini lengkaplah sudah. Setelah ia diselingkuhi oleh suaminya, mendapatkan kekerasan verbal dan fisik, kini suami dan kekasih gelapnya yang masih gadis remaja itu secara terang-terangan dan sengaja tinggal satu rumah di lingkungan dekat rumahnya. Dan secara sengaja pula, Drew dan Stacy kerap melewati rumah Kathleen sambil mengejeknya di saat perceraian Drew dan Kathleen belum selesai.
Drew and Stacy taunted Kathleen.
Yeah, by all accounts, yes.
How?
Rollerblading past her house, giving her the finger.
Kini Drew dan Kathleen menghadapi proses perceraian yang sangat sengit. Mereka memperebutkan tunjangan anak, harta dari pernikahan mereka. Drew bersikeras tidak ingin Kathleen mendapatkannya, sementara Kathleen berjuang keras agar bisa mendapatkannya. Menurut putra sulung Drew, Steven Peterson, ayahnya selalu melindungi barang-barangnya. Jika ia mendapatkannya, itu adalah miliknya. Dan jika dia yang membelinya, maka itu adalah sepenuhnya miliknya. Dan Steve mengatakan, sepengetahuannya, Kathleen menginginkan dari uang pensiunnya. Kathleen ingin Drew keluar dari rumah. Kathleen juga ingin sebagian hasil penjualan bar. Dan itu membuat Drew Peterson sangat marah dan akan melakukan apapun untuk dapat mempertahankan miliknya.
So now they're in the middle of an ugly divorce, and she wants half.
Drew stood to lose a lot of money. Half their marital assets, his pension, which meant an awful lot to Drew.
And that's not something Drew had in his plans, and he was going to find a way for that not to happen.
Early on in the divorce, when I represented her, she told myself and anybody else who would listen that he was telling her he would make her look like an accident.
Setelah sekian lama, Kathleen diperlakukan kasar oleh Drew dan telah melaporkan 18 kali laporan kekerasan pada polisi dan tidak pernah ditindaklanjuti. Hari ini, Kathleen kembali dikejutkan oleh kejutan yang tidak menyenangkan dari Drew. Ancaman serius yang menakutkan.
He had broken into the house, and he ordered her to sit on the stairs, and he kept her there for hours, holding her at knife point, threatening to kill her.
Dan Kathleen merasa ia tidak akan pernah mendapatkan bantuan dari Departemen Kepolisian, departemen yang sama tempat Drew Peterson bekerja. Frustasi dan ketakutan, itulah yang saat ini Kathleen rasakan. Lalu ia menulis pada asisten jaksa negara bagian tentang perlakuan Drew terhadapnya pada 14 November 2002. Bahkan Kathleen menuliskan bahwa selain Drew akan membawa anak-anaknya, Drew juga bahkan mungkin akan mengakhiri hidupnya.
He wanted to control her. He wanted to make her life miserable. She was a laughing person. She was a crazy one. She slept with a knife under her mattress. It became very difficult and she feared for her life.
The police responded 18 times to that house, and Drew Peterson was never arrested. He was not so much as handcuffed and put in the back of the car because Drew was one of them.
She told the police, she told friends. I saw her tell a state's attorney.
She wrote a letter to the state's attorney because she feared for her life. She had nowhere else to go. No one helped her. No one helped her. No one responded to her. So she said, if anything happened to me, this is what I'm doing. I'm writing everything about what is going on with my life.
She also wrote a letter to an assistant state's attorney where she described a break-in at her house. She said Drew was in her home wearing a black outfit. He was armed with a knife. He threatened her and menaced her and ordered her to sit on the stairs. In the letter, she pleaded for help. She said Drew was going to take her children away.
She begged for help. He needs to be stopped.
And what was the result of that letter?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Pada usia 49 tahun, Drew Peterson akhirnya menikah dengan Stacey Ann Kells yang saat ini berusia 19 tahun, yang kemudian nama belakang Stacey dirubah menjadi Stacey Peterson. Dan mereka hidup sebagai keluarga bersama anak pertama mereka. Tetapi pernikahan yang diimpikan Stacey dengan pria yang ia pikir Drew adalah pria sempurna yang akan menjaganya dengan baik, ternyata tidak seperti yang dipikirkannya selama ini. Karena pada saat ini, sikap Drew benar-benar berubah. Ia memperlakukan Stacey dengan kontrol penuh, seperti ia sedang bertugas menginterogasi dan memperlakukan seorang tersangka dalam sebuah kasus. Drew selalu memantau komunikasi Stacey dengan siapa saja dan melacak setiap gerakannya. Drew mulai mencurigai segala hal yang dilakukan Stacey setiap Stacey pergi keluar dan akan memeriksa seluruh tubuhnya untuk menemukan bukti jika Stacey telah menghabiskan waktu dengan pria lain selama Stacey berada di luar rumah.
I mean, she never cheated or lied to him or anything, but she couldn't even run to the store to get bread, and he was checking the receipt. You left at this time, who were you talking to, and
Stacey told me about a time that she walked in the house. She was confronted by Drew, who immediately asked her where she'd been. He actually held her against the wall, and he stripped her naked to see if there was any evidence of her being with other men.
Dan pada suatu malam, Stacey menemukan sesuatu yang aneh pada Drew, dan itu membuatnya sangat takut. sobat semua, sebelum lanjut ada baiknya untuk mengklik terlebih dahulu tombol like, share, dan subscribe, serta tombol notifikasinya, agar tak ketinggalan update kisah nyata tak biasa dari K Channel selanjutnya. Pada malam itu, Stacy terbangun tengah malam, dan ia tidak menemukan suaminya, Drew, yang biasanya ada di sampingnya di tempat tidur mereka. Lalu Stacy segera mencarinya, dan ia melihat Drew berada di ruang cuci pakaian. Drew memakai pakaian serba hitam. Ia sedang melepaskan pakaiannya dan memasukkannya ke dalam mesin cuci. Stacy begitu curiga dan bertanya pada Drew, sudah dari mana ia tengah malam itu dengan berpakaian serba hitam? Tapi Drew tidak memberikan jawaban yang jelas. Drew segera keluar dari ruangan itu. Tetapi Stacy masih merasa penasaran. Lalu ia segera memeriksanya ke dalam mesin cuci tersebut. Dan ia menemukan sebuah pakaian wanita. Yang jelas itu bukan pakaiannya. Apa yang ada di benak Stacy dipenuhi banyak pertanyaan yang mengganggu. Pakaian itu memang bukan pakaian milik Stacy, karena itu adalah pakaian milik mantan istrinya, Kathleen Savio.
Drew didn't have to explain anything to Stacy. She knew how much he hated his ex-wife, and she knew that he would stop at nothing to protect his money. She's living with a monster who's capable of doing anything.
Pada malam berikutnya, Drew berkendara ke rumah Kathleen. Lalu dia memberitahu tetangganya yang ia temui di jalan di dekat rumah Kathleen, bahwa ia telah 2 kali mencoba mengantarkan putra-putra mereka ke Kathleen, tetapi Kathleen tidak pernah membuka pintu rumahnya. Kemudian tetangganya memberikan ide untuk membawa temannya, seorang tukang kunci, agar bisa membuka pintu rumah itu. Karena Drew sebelumnya beralasan bahwa Kathleen telah mengganti semua kunci pintu rumahnya setelah mereka dalam proses perceraian, hingga Drew tidak lagi bisa menggunakan kunci lamanya untuk masuk ke rumah Kathleen. Dan ketika pintu rumah Kathleen terbuka, Drew enggan masuk ke rumah itu. Ia beralasan bahwa ia tidak mungkin masuk ke rumah itu karena sebelumnya Kathleen melaporkan pada polisi saat ia masuk rumah itu. Lalu Drew meminta tetangganya dan tukang kunci untuk masuk ke rumah Kathleen dan memeriksanya. Beberapa lama kemudian, tetangganya dan tukang kunci itu menjerit terkejut dan segera memanggil Drew untuk masuk ke dalam rumah dan melihat apa yang mereka temukan.
Drew!
Mereka menemukan Kathleen yang telah tewas di dalam bathtub tanpa busana. Polisi yang datang menyelidiki menyimpulkan bahwa Kathleen tewas karena terpeleset dan jatuh, yang membuat kepalanya terbentur dan ia tenggelam dalam air dalam bathtub.
The detective that was assigned to it had never investigated a murder case. This was his first case that would have been a murder case had he investigated it. And literally nothing was done that should have been done.
They didn't collect any evidence. They didn't take fingerprints. They walked around the house to make sure there weren't any broken windows, and they decided it was an accident.
The police said, well, because Drew Peterson is one of us, we can't actually investigate this, so we'll call in the state police. The only problem is that the state police was not used to doing homicide investigations.
The state police don't do a lot of homicides. They do traffic and drug interdiction, things like that. The lead investigator had never worked a homicide.
So a woman is found dead in the bathtub as she's going through an acrimonious divorce, and somehow it's not classified as a crime scene. People are free to come and go as they please, including Drew Peterson, and they let him stay and walk around that house like he owned it.
They really hadn't investigated it at all. They collected no evidence. They really didn't pursue it at all. This woman died and they immediately decided it was accidental. If I walked into a bathroom with a woman didn't look at all like a position a person would fall into, I would investigate and look for evidence.
It is clear that Drew had another reason why he wanted somebody else there.
It was almost like he was setting them.
The Friday before she passed away, I called her and she said to me, I'm not going to make it. She said, Drew's going to kill me and it's going to be an accident and no one's going to find out about it.
I got a call from my dad that says, hey, you got to come home. Kathy's dead. We need you to come home and be with the family. And it was, I mean, a huge shock. You know, you just couldn't believe it.
Sersan Drew Peterson dan istri mudanya, Stacy, sempat diinterogasi. Berkaitan dengan kematian Kathleen, mereka diinterogasi di departemen kepolisiannya sendiri dengan santai di ruang istirahat.
He coached her to lie to the police about what he had done, that he had killed Kathleen Savio.
Drew wasn't trying to hide this murder from Stacy. In fact, he was trying to help pull her in so that she would be just as culpable as he was.
Setelah kematian Kathleen, Drew menguangkan asuransi jiwa Kathleen, menjual rumahnya, dan mengambil hak asuh atas anak-anaknya. Di saat Stacy sedang mengandung anak keduanya, dan Stacy juga sekaligus menjadi ibu rumah tangga yang mengurusi anak-anaknya dan anak-anak dari Kathleen dan Drew. Kehidupan Stacy saat ini menjadi sangat tertekan dan menakutkan. Ia harus menerima kenyataan bahwa ia hidup dengan pria yang telah mengakhiri hidup seorang ibu dari anak-anaknya sendiri, yakni mantan istri Drew, Kathleen Savio. Dan kini, ia pun mengalami banyak pertengkaran sengit dan kekerasan dari suaminya sendiri.
He's tracking her phone. He's wondering where she is. He's accusing her of having affairs with other men, younger men.
But then, like, as things progressed, everything just got worse and worse.
It was total control of all facets of life. Financial, friends, where you could go.
He knew how to manipulate the system, manipulate people, follow people, track people.
But I think there were times when he was very good at isolating her as well and keeping her from being able to go where she wanted to or to reach out for help when she needed help.
All she knows is that she can't go to police now. She can't do anything but have this baby and just hope he doesn't kill her.
He couldn't manipulate her like he used to. She was growing up. It wasn't as simple as it used to be. When you're 17, you'll go, oh yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. Now here she is, 22, 23 years old, has 4 kids, a full household, and a husband she can't control.
This ain't gonna go down well with Drew because he likes his relationships under his power and control.
I had found out that they were kind of having trouble. I was moved out at the time, and I know she confided in my wife. You know, at the time she confided in her and kind of said, hey, things aren't great. You know, we kind of were fighting, we're going to counseling, you know, that kind of stuff.
You know, there's always the question, why would Stacy have stayed with him? We're still talking about a very young woman who had a child, who was married to a man who she knew had just killed his ex-wife and made it look like an accident. There was no escape for her, and she knew there was no escape for her.
Hingga ia akhirnya tak kuasa menahannya sendiri dan mencurahkan semua yang ia alami dalam rumah tangganya bersama Drew pada kakaknya, Cassandra. Stacy juga menceritakan bagaimana Drew yang sering memperolok dirinya karena penampilan Stacy yang sudah tidak menarik seperti dulu sejak memiliki anak. Kemudian Drew menyuruh Stacy untuk melakukan sejumlah tindakan medis agar Stacy bisa kembali terlihat cantik dan menarik.
She doesn't even have her looks to herself anymore. He has a say on everything. She gets LASIK. She gets breast implants. She gets all this work done, paid for by Drew. There are consequences if she doesn't do everything that he tells her to do.
Tetapi pada saat ini, Stacy sudah cukup lelah bertahan dalam rumah tangga yang tidak sehat bersama Drew. Ia mulai berpikir untuk bercerai dari Drew.
Stacy looked at me and she goes, so how do you feel about me getting a divorce from Drew? I'm scared. And then she kind of looked at me and she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, look what happened to Kathleen. Then her face turned pale white.
Stacy kini semakin mengkhawatirkan keselamatan hidupnya. Ia juga tidak lagi dapat menyimpan rahasia jahat yang telah dilakukan suaminya. Lalu Stacy akhirnya mengungkapkan rahasia itu yang telah ia pendam sekian lama pada pendeta Neil Shorey yang akan menjadi pertemuan terakhir kalinya.
She said, he did it. And I said, he did what? And she said, Drew killed Kathleen. She said that I was the only person that she had told. And I said, what do you want me to do with what you've told me? And she said, I just want you to keep it to yourself. And I did. And I wrestled with that. I wondered if that was really the right thing to do. Immediately after I left, I checked my voicemail, and it's Drew Peterson.
Drew Peterson meninggalkan pesan di telepon pada pendeta Neil bahwa dia mengetahui pertemuan Stacy dengannya pagi itu. Namun anehnya, Drew malah mengundang pendeta Neil untuk terbang bersamanya dengan pesawat ultralightnya.
I wonder if he knows that Stacy just told me what he's done.
Can you imagine getting a phone call from somebody who you know has murdered somebody who says, hey, let's go up in my plane? Who knows what would have happened if he'd gone?
Sementara itu, Stacy terus mencari orang yang sekiranya bisa membantunya. Lantas ia menghubungi satu-satunya orang yang ia anggap bisa membantunya, yakni pengacara perceraian Kathleen Savio, Harry Smith. Stacy mengungkapkan bahwa ia ingin bercerai dari Drew dan tentunya memperoleh sebagian uangnya dari perceraian dengan Drew dan memberitahukan sebuah rahasia yang mematikan.
She asked me if we could get more money in the divorce if we threatened to go to the police and tell them how Drew killed Kathleen. And that was sort of a big stopping point in that first conversation I had with her.
Stacy had now told 2 people about this murder.
Pada saat ini, kakak Stacy, Cassandra Kells, berusaha keras membujuk Stacy untuk segera meninggalkan Drew dan membawa serta anak-anaknya.
She said she was going to leave. She was filing for divorce that Monday.
Do you think Drew knew Stacy was going to file for divorce?
Yes, she told him. And my heart stopped, and I said, let's go. Let's go right now. She goes, no, I can't, because if I take the kids, he's the breadwinner. Exactly what she said. He's the breadwinner. Money doesn't buy happiness, and Stacy knew that. She never wanted that. She just wanted to be loved, something we never really got when we were little.
Pada hari ini, Drew dan Stacy bertengkar hebat, tetapi itu menjadi pertengkaran terakhir mereka. Dan pada malam harinya, adik tiri Drew, Thomas Murphy, datang setelah dihubungi oleh Drew yang memintanya untuk membantu Drew memindahkan tong berwarna biru yang cukup berat sehingga membutuhkan 2 orang untuk membawanya keluar dari rumahnya. Thomas Murphy mengatakan bahwa tong tersebut terasa sedikit hangat saat ia menyentuhnya dan terasa sangat berat. Pada hari berikutnya, 28 Oktober 2007, Cassandra mencoba menghubungi Stacy, tetapi Stacy tidak bisa dihubungi, baik melalui handphone yang biasa digunakannya maupun handphone yang dirahasiakannya dari Drew. Dan setelah berulang kali ia mencoba menghubunginya dan mengetahui permasalahan serius yang tengah dialami oleh Stacy dan Drew, Cassandra mulai mengkhawatirkan sesuatu yang tidak beres menimpa Stacy dan Drew yang bertanggung jawab. Akhirnya Cassandra melaporkan adiknya yang hilang setelah 24 jam lebih tidak ada kabar dari Stacy. Pada hari ini, Stacy Peterson secara resmi terdaftar sebagai orang hilang.
It's very early in the morning. It's about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning at this time. And he wakes me up. And he says, Norma, I think you need to see this. It's Stacy. She's on the TV. She's missing. And the first thing that I say is, he killed her.
Stacy Peterson, a 23-year-old mother of two, was reported missing.
Stacy Peterson was last seen wearing a red jogging suit.
Her story made headlines.
New allegations about her disappearance.
Stacy Ann Peterson was last seen by her husband, Bolingbrook Police Sergeant Drew Peterson.
His previous ex-wife was found dead. She was last heard from on Sunday morning.
About their missing mother.
The investigation remains a missing.
I miss you, Stacy, and I'm not giving up until I bring you home.
The first thing that came to my mind was he did it. He did it.
My brother texted me and he said, we can't find Stacy. Instantly, in my gut, I knew that she was gone. I thought that she had been murdered, most likely by Drew.
Keluarga Stacy mengatakan tidak mungkin Stacy menghilang begitu saja. Tidak mungkin Stacy meninggalkan anak-anak dan keluarganya begitu saja. Karena Stacy tidak mau anak-anaknya merasakan apa yang Stacy rasakan saat ia ditinggalkan oleh ibunya sendiri sejak Stacy masih kecil.
She wouldn't leave her kids. She wouldn't leave me.
Meanwhile, Drew Peterson is going around telling people that Stacy had left him for a younger man.
He was saying that she left her car at the town airport, and she had gone to some Caribbean destination with a guy that he never identified, and who apparently was never reported missing himself.
Penulis dan reporter sebuah surat kabar, Joseph Jose, dan editornya adalah orang pertama yang menghubungkan kematian Kathleen Sepius dengan hilangnya Stacy Peterson.
I was probably getting ready to go home when my boss came up to me and said, hey, remember that guy, Drew Peterson, you wrote about a few years ago? Of course I remember. And he's like, well, his current wife is missing. And I was like, really?
On the front page, it says, police officer's wife goes missing. I ran and found my wife, and I said, I know what happened. I know she's not just missing.
Pada saat ini, semua pemburu berita mulai menyerbu Drew Peterson dan mulai mempertanyakan tentang kematian Kathleen yang tampak janggal. Awalnya Drew Peterson menghindari media, tapi tak lama kemudian, ia justru menikmatinya dan menganggap dirinya sebagai seorang bintang yang ingin dilihat oleh dunia. Drew juga kerap bercanda dengan sengaja di depan awak media, di tengah banyak orang yang sedang khawatir atas hilangnya Stacy.
Please go home. Please leave me alone. Please don't get involved in my little world. And having this guy in my face like this lady having a microphone in my face like this.
What's going on today?
What's going on today?
Yes.
We went to McDonald's. We had Happy Meals and McRib sandwiches. How's that?
I think Drew's behavior was highly suspect in how he would laugh inappropriately and make jokes and flirt with reporters. I mean, just highly inappropriate behavior.
Drew memanfaatkan hausnya para pemburu berita akan dirinya dengan banyak tampil di TV-TV nasional.
Where do you think Stacy might be?
Stacy loves male attention. She could be
ran off with a guy,
and she could be dancing somewhere. I don't know.
I let you go through this.
If she wanted to get away, do you ever really know anybody?
It was classic blame the victim with Drew Peterson. He would talk about what his wife was like when she was on her period and how difficult she was.
Stacy would ask me for a divorce on a regular basis. I'm not trying to be funny, and it was based on her menstrual cycle.
Although Stacy was missing, Drew did not care about what was going on. That was old news to him. He loved being on the cover of magazines. He would contact us after being on the cover because he liked the pictures that were being used of him. That was Drew Peterson.
Somebody like Drew, I think, is very, very clever at reading people and knowing when they trust him, mistrust him. This is how he manages to manipulate his environment and those around him.
Drew Peterson menyangkal semua kesalahannya. Dia menyatakan bahwa dia hanya seorang pria yang tidak beruntung.
She kept saying Stacy ran off. She took the car, she took money, she took the bikinis, she left me.
Stacy goes missing on Sunday. We don't hear from Drew until Monday at 8:30. After it's on the TV. To tell us that Stacy left, she took her bikini and $25,000. Wouldn't logic tell you that if someone went missing or someone took off, you wouldn't call all their friends, anybody who was close to them to say, do you know where she went? Do you know who she might be with? He never does that.
My heart broke because it's starting all over again. He did it to someone else.
Everybody was looking for Stacy. Everybody wanted to know where she was. The one person who didn't have to do any of that was Drew Peterson, who said, oh no, she's with her boyfriend.
Pihak berwenang mulai curiga pada Drew Peterson atas hilangnya Stacy dan kematian mantan istrinya Kathleen Savio, di mana kedua wanita itu sama-sama memiliki masalah dengan Drew Peterson yang mengajukan perceraian dan sama-sama berakhir tiada.
I can look right in your eye and say I had nothing to do with either of those incidences.
Tetapi jaksa penuntut negara bagian Will County yang legendaris, James Glasgow, tidak mempercayai penjelasan Drew Peterson.
With 29 years of experience, there was no doubt in my mind it wasn't an accident. That was clear.
Seminggu setelah Stacy dinyatakan hilang, pihak berwenang membuka kembali kasus kematian Kathleen yang pernah ditutup.
There are tests that need to be done that weren't done during the first autopsy.
You know, my children and I, we've been, believing that, she died in a household accident.
Akhirnya pada hari ini, atas seruan pengadilan, jasad Kathleen Savio yang telah dikubur digali kembali untuk dilakukan otopsi.
I remember seeing the casket being lifted out of her grave, and I just thought, you can bury evidence, but it will come back to get you.
Dan hasil otopsi tersebut akan mengubah semuanya. Ahli patologi forensik terkenal Dr. Michael Baden dari New York yang mengotopsi jasad Kathleen. Ia terkenal sering bersaksi dalam sejumlah persidangan pembunuhan, termasuk O.J. Simpson. Laporan otopsi mencatat rambut Kathleen yang berlumuran darah, memar di tubuhnya, luka 1 inci di bagian kepalanya, dan darah di bak mandi, serta benda-benda di sekitar bak mandi yang tidak menceritakan kisah Kathleen yang terpeleset dan jatuh. Menurut Dr. Michael Baden, memar-memar yang terdapat di tubuh Kathleen menunjukkan perlawanan yang ekstrim beberapa jam sebelum Kathleen tewas. Dan posisi Kathleen yang berada dalam bathtub adalah rekayasa. Ini berarti meninggalnya Kathleen bukanlah kecelakaan, melainkan pembunuhan. Ketika hasil otopsi tersebut keluar, itu menjadi peringatan bagi Drew Peterson bahwa ia kini memerlukan pengacara dan akan banyak menghabiskan waktu berkonsultasi dengan pengacaranya. Hingga ia merasa sangat memerlukan orang untuk menjaga anak-anaknya di rumah.
Drew calls. He's like, I could really use some help. I need somebody to help me take care of the kids. We will be there. We will be there. So we drop everything. We dropped our home. We moved into his house. And we're taking care of the kids.
Drew Peterson menjadi satu-satunya orang yang disorot atas 2 kasus tersebut sebagai tersangka utama. Ia kini semakin sering tampil di depan kamera para pemburu berita, juga di TV-TV nasional, dengan penuh percaya diri, sombong, dan terkadang bercanda dengan para awak media, seolah tidak terjadi masalah serius yang mengaitkan dirinya dengan 2 kasus dari mantan istri yang tewas dan istri yang menghilang tanpa jejak.
Still no sign of a police officer's 4th wife.
Drew Peterson is suspected in his wife's disappearance, which prompted authorities to reopen Savio's case.
She could be next door hiding in the basement, or she could be in Thailand. She's a little girl and it's a big world. She could be anywhere. When Stacy comes back, instead of looking at this woman for abandoning her family, they're going to turn it around And it's like, well, she wouldn't have left if you weren't such a bastard husband. What? If you look at all the pictures of Stacy, she looks like a different person in every one. And everybody says, well, how can she hide being so well noticed? Well, women can really change their appearance. So her hiding out isn't as far-fetched as some people are trying to say. Stacy did all this. The bathroom's a jungle room. I thought really kind of a unique look. All her clothes in the bedroom are just like they were the day she left. These are all her clothes, and basically nothing's been changed or moved around. I don't know if I can't bring myself to do it or haven't had the time, but it's just like I'm kind of hesitant to move anything or change anything, and I can't figure out why. I feel after the state police came in here and did a search warrant, I really feel kind of like a rape victim would feel, dirty because they were in here to violate my home.
Adik tirinya, Thomas Murphy, mengungkapkan bahwa dia telah membantu Drew mengeluarkan tong biru besar dari rumah Drew pada malam hari saat Stacy menghilang. Thomas juga mengatakan bahwa dia membantu Drew Peterson mengatur panggilan telepon dari ponsel Stacy pada Drew yang menempatkan Stacy di dekat bandara pada saat Stacy menghilang. Tetapi Drew tidak mengakuinya. Ia memberikan serangan balik terhadap Thomas Murphy.
I really don't want to badmouth Tommy. He has some serious emotional issues. He was losing his house, losing his wife. Everything is invented. None of that's true.
I have no idea what anybody's talking about like that.
He says he believes that he helped you dispose of your wife's body. Can you at least respond to that?
No.
Not at all.
No response. Talk to my lawyer.
The third wife.
Okay.
What happened? Don't know.
What would you say to Stacy, your fourth wife?
Come home.
I don't believe she's missing. I believe she's where she wants to be.
Drew Peterson is very suspicious, very sneaky.
Drew Peterson is a murderer and a liar.
I definitely feel like Drew Peterson killed one, if not two, of his wives. Kathleen Savio's autopsy was conclusive that she was murdered, and I wouldn't put it past him.
He was found drowned in a dry bathtub, which is just beyond bizarre.
Everyone refers to Bolingbrook now as where the cop killed his wife.
At this point, do you believe that most people don't believe you?
Yes, I believe that.
Do you believe, I mean, we're here with a very respectful studio audience, but you realize that there's a significant portion of this group right now that thinks they're sitting here with either a murderer or a double murderer.
Right.
How does that affect you? I mean,
it's actually kind of scary, but realistically, I'm becoming very numb to it all.
There's an allegation or an accusation that Stacy told a neighbor if anything happened to her, it was not an accident, that Drew had killed her. Do you think that she actually said that to a neighbor?
I really have to question the credibility of the neighbor because Stacy and I still, even with her difficulties, we still had a very romantic relationship. We still were together a lot. We still spent time cuddling, that type of thing. So.
But Drew, if you had a romantic relationship, if you were still intimate and affectionate and together with one another, how could she disappear and you not dismantle the world looking for her?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
If you were in love with this woman, were you in love with her when she disappeared?
Yes, very much so.
Are you in love with her today?
I try to be, but I have a lot of anger issues about it now, that she took off like she did.
She also said that, and I believe it's the same neighbor, you probably know better than I, that you always called and checked on Stacy, that you were very attentive, and in fact it got to the point of being controlling, but that you were always calling to check up on her.
We were always calling each other, and it wasn't trying to be controlling. When you have a romantic relationship with somebody, you're calling them all the time. So
it's also been alleged that Stacy told her sister that she feared for her life. Do you believe she said that to her sister?
Again, I don't know. And if she was trying to set me up for some sort of divorce or anything, that might have been a way to do it.
In that you did have a pattern of calling each other all the time, why did you not call her the day she disappeared?
I did, but she wanted her space. She wanted her space. So that day I gave her space.
Because her stepsister says that you threw Stacy down the stairs, knocked her into the TV, and threw her across the room.
That never happened.
It's never happened.
Never happened.
Why are these people saying these things?
I don't know. Unless they're trying to add some sort of fuel to the fire.
You know what your stepbrother has said.
Right.
That he says that he helped you move a blue barrel, that it was warm to the touch. He told friends that he thought, after the fact, that he actually helped you move her body.
That didn't happen.
Was there a blue barrel?
No.
Did he come over and help you do anything, move anything, do anything?
Never. The day I was with him the day before, and I was attempting to get him a job at a grocery store. He had just lost his job. And he was so intoxicated or high on something that I had to cancel the interview and we couldn't follow through with it.
Nama Drew Peterson kini makin melambung. Ia menjadi topik pembicaraan hangat warga masyarakat Amerika Serikat. Ia semakin dikenal masyarakat luas. Tetapi ada hal yang aneh dan mengejutkan saat adik ipar Drew mengetahuinya.
He had girls come up to him in a bar wanting to be with him. What? You know he may have murdered 2 people. It was mind-blowing is what it was.
He really had a confidence and arrogance maybe that nothing was going to be found out that would put him in a significantly bad light.
Dengan meningkatnya tekanan media dan masyarakat luas, serta tuntutan kematian yang diajukan keluarga Kathleen Savio, akhirnya surat perintah penangkapan Drew Peterson dikeluarkan, meskipun kurangnya bukti fisik.
Former Rollingburg police officer Drew Peterson now under arrest for the murder.
Peterson was arrested in a traffic stop near his Bolingbrook home at
9 bulan setelah Stacy Peterson menghilang dan lebih dari 5 tahun setelah kematian mantan istrinya Kathleen Savio, akhirnya Drew Peterson ditangkap karena pembunuhan Kathleen Savio. Dan jaminan ditetapkan sebesar $20 juta atau sekitar 300 miliar rupiah. Dengan dana yang sangat besar dan tidak mencukupi, Drew akhirnya terjebak di dalam penjara selama 3 tahun ke depan. Drew kini berada di penjara sambil menunggu persidangannya. Sementara 4 anak-anaknya yang masih kecil, di rumah tidak ada yang merawat dan menjaganya. Karena adik iparnya dan suaminya telah 3 bulan tinggal di rumah Drew untuk merawat anak-anaknya, dan mereka kini harus kembali pulang.
So in February 2009, my daughter was born. And beautiful home. It's me, my wife, my child. And May 7th, 2009, my dad was arrested. So now we go from having a couple-month-old newborn to 5 kids in an instant. And that was a lot. They needed someone there for him, and I was happy to do it.
Stephen kini berkewajiban untuk membesarkan keempat adik bungsunya, memberikan mereka kasih sayang, dan menjaganya seperti yang sangat mereka butuhkan. Steve menjadi ayah bagi 4 adiknya, dan bertanggung jawab memenuhi semua kebutuhannya hingga mereka dewasa.
Tonight, Drew Peterson finally facing Lady Justice.
Tim hukum Drew Peterson terdiri dari 6 pengacara yang berpengalaman yang akan membela dirinya di persidangan, sekaligus seperti memberi hiburan pada masyarakat. Bahkan, mereka juga memperolok Stacy secara terang-terangan di depan para awak media dan menganggap enteng kasus yang dihadapinya.
Who? Stacy who? Stacy who? She's on your witness list. Oh, that's Stacy.
There was a lack of respect for the fact that this one woman is missing and this other woman's dead.
We never realized that it would be that bad.
Because they had nothing except for, they were getting divorced and we don't have any other suspects, so he must have done it.
There was no physical evidence, There was no sign of forced entry. There was no fingerprints, no DNA, no eyewitnesses. There was simply nothing to prove that it wasn't an accident.
Tetapi tidak bagi jaksa penuntut legendaris di negara itu, James Glasgow. Dalam persidangan, James Glasgow memberikan pernyataan pembuka yang kuat, mengklaim bahwa Drew Peterson melakukan ancaman terus-menerus atas hidup Kathleen yang akan berakhir di tangannya, dan membuatnya terlihat seperti kecelakaan. Kemudian James Glasgow menyampaikan pernyataan serangan terhadap kepolisian dan penyelidikan saat awal penyelidikan kematian Kathleen yang tidak dilakukan secara benar dan serius. Sehingga James Glasgow berpendapat bahwa Drew Peterson memiliki peluang dan sarana untuk melakukan pembunuhan. Tetapi James membutuhkan bukti kuat.
In essence, what you're basically allowing the victim of a violent crime to do is to testify from the grave.
Jaksa penuntut James Glasgow hanya memiliki sisa-sisa bukti dari TKP tahun 2004 yang diselidiki dengan cara yang asal. Tetapi pada bulan April 2012, undang-undang baru yang dijuluki Hukum Drew memungkinkan juri untuk mempertimbangkan bukti desas-desus, hingga secara efektif memungkinkan pembicaraan dari korban yang telah tewas untuk dikemukakan. Berdasarkan undang-undang baru tersebutlah, jaksa penuntut dapat menggunakan pernyataan yang memberatkan yang dibuat oleh Kathleen dan Stacy. Saksi pertama dimulai dari kesaksian Sue Savio Domen, kakak dari korban Kathleen Savio.
He told me he's going to kill me. He said he's going to make it look like an accident, and no one will ever know.
Pendeta Neil yang menasehati istri keempat Drew Peterson, Stacy Peterson, menjadi saksi berikutnya. Ia bersaksi, Stacy mengatakan padanya bahwa Drew meminta Stacy untuk menutupi apa yang telah dilakukan Drew pada malam Kathleen tewas.
The focus of my testimony was all about the night or around the time that Kathleen died. He very clearly told her to lie about where he was and to cover it up, and he actually said to her, this will be the perfect crime.
Tetapi tim hukum Drew Peterson masih merasa yakin akan memenangkan kasus tersebut karena pernyataan kesaksian dari para saksi dianggap ada keraguan yang masuk akal dan kurangnya bukti fisik. Kemudian pengacara Kathleen yang mengurus perceraiannya dengan Drew dipanggil oleh tim hukum Drew Peterson untuk membela Drew Peterson dengan mendiskreditkan Stacy Peterson.
I can't tell you that before Harry Smith was called, we were going to win that case, but I can tell you after Harry Smith was called, we were probably going to lose that case.
Tim pembela Drew mengira Harry Smith akan bersaksi bahwa Stacy mengatakan ia akan melakukan apapun untuk mendapatkan uang dari Drew ketika mereka bercerai, dengan cara memeras Drew agar mendapatkan setengah harta dari pernikahannya. Tetapi itu menjadi bumerang yang justru memberatkannya, karena pemerasan tersebut berkaitan dengan pengakuan Stacy tentang kematian Kathleen yang sengaja dilakukan oleh Drew Peterson.
Probably surprising to the jury to begin to hear testimony from Stacy Peterson through me on the stand, not speculating, but talking about Drew killing Kathleen Savio.
I was watching him testify, and it was deadly. His testimony was deadly.
When Harry Smith testified, the house of cards came tumbling down, and it looked like maybe the first time in his entire life, Drew Peterson was not going to get away with it this time.
Setelah 3 minggu persidangan dan 44 saksi, satu-satunya harapan yang bisa menyelamatkan Drew Peterson terbebas dari penjara adalah 12 juri di persidangan.
I know that this is a jury that's very thoughtful, and they're going to make sure they come to the right conclusion.
Di hari pembacaan putusan juri, di luar pengadilan, tampak berhamburan para awak media yang meliput, serta warga masyarakat yang menunggu dengan emosi memuncak dan penuh rasa cemas. Apakah Drew Peterson akan dinyatakan bersalah? Akhirnya, pada hari ini, setelah 14 jam berunding, para juri mengumumkan putusannya. Drew Peterson dinyatakan bersalah atas pembunuhan tingkat pertama dari istri ketiganya, Kathleen Savio. Seketika itu juga rasa cemas keluarga dan warga masyarakat yang berada di halaman pengadilan berubah riang gembira, merayakan hari keadilan yang melegakan.
Finally, somebody heard Kathleen cry. 12 people did the right thing, oh thank God. I know that she got justice in the hands and a cold-blooded killer up there.
Berita dan hashtag Drew Peterson bersalah membanjiri media sosial. Sementara pernyataan dari tim pembela Drew Peterson pada media melontarkan rasa humor yang tampak aneh. Dan ketika jaksa penuntut legendaris James Glasgow keluar dari gedung pengadilan, semua masyarakat yang masih menunggu di luar menyambutnya dan memberikan tepuk tangan riuh atas kemenangannya dalam persidangan.
He was a thug. He would threaten people because he had a gun and a badge. And nobody ever took him on. He took him on now, and he lost.
And Drew Peterson guilty. You know, and it was just like years of emotions just came out of me that day. You know, this is it. This is real now.
The trauma for Stephen is when he has to come to terms with, yes, he did those things. Yes, he is my father. Yes, he was my role model. Yes, he is a murderer. That is a lot for Stephen to come to terms with.
Hampir 9 tahun setelah Drew Peterson mengakhiri hidup Kathleen Savio, akhirnya pada hari ini, ia dijatuhi hukuman selama 38 tahun penjara. Dan ia tidak memenuhi syarat untuk dibebaskan sampai dia berusia 93 tahun.
I thought he would have got more. Just more, but I was happy that when I added all the numbers up that he would be in there until he was in his 90s.
It keeps him in there. It's a death sentence. 38 years is a death sentence. He's going to die in there. I mean, the guy's a dead man walking. He looks horrible. It makes me feel wonderful.
Saat pembacaan putusan penjatuhan hukuman, keheningan di ruang sidang berubah menjadi kemarahan Drew Peterson ketika dia berbicara pada hakim saat hakim menjatuhkan hukuman padanya.
He got up on the stand and that shrill, kind of feminine screech that he didn't kill Kathy. I did not kill Kathy! That's the guy that killed Kathy. You got a glimpse into his soul. I did not kill Kathy!
It's the same voice he used with those women. It's the same voice that he has used with anyone he wanted to terrorize or manipulate. What he did was he showed everybody for just a minute who Drew Peterson is.
And my reply was, you're a liar, you did kill her.
Drew Peterson juga menatap dan melontarkan caci maki pada jaksa penuntut James Glasgow di ruang sidang tersebut.
The reason I never looked Drew Peterson in the eye is because I never acknowledged his existence. But I looked him in the eye today, and he knows that we did our job.
Di balik kawat berduri, penjaga bersenjata dan jeruji besi, Drew Peterson yang berusia 61 tahun menjalani hukuman terkurung jauh dari masyarakat luas. Ia kemudian mengajukan banding karena menurutnya 6 pengacara yang membelanya tidak efektif dan tidak mendapatkan persidangan yang adil terhadapnya. Apalagi dengan menghadirkan saksi pengacara Harry Smith yang seharusnya membelanya justru memberatkannya. Di saat ia tengah mengajukan banding, Drew Peterson yang berada di lembaga pemasyarakatan Maynard di Chester, Illinois, malah menyusun rencana jahat yang mematikan sebagai aksi balas dendamnya pada jaksa penuntut James Glasgow yang telah memasukkannya ke dalam penjara.
Peterson is facing those new charges. And, George, these new charges come from a plan hatched right there in the nearby Menard Correctional Facility. Is that right?
That's absolutely right, Tom. That former Chicago area cop, Drew Peterson, is convicted in the killing of his third wife, suspected in the disappearance of his still missing fourth wife. And now prosecutors say he hatched a plan to have a prosecutor murdered from his Chester prison cell. The charges filed accuse Peterson of trying to hire a hitman to kill Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow. Glasgow is the man who succeeded in putting Peterson behind bars for the killing of his third wife, Kathleen Savio. He's never been charged in connection with his missing fourth wife, Stacy Peterson, though he is also a suspect in that case.
The defendant solicited an individual to carry out a murder-for-hire plot against Will County State's Attorney Jim Glasgow.
Drew Peterson didakwa atas percobaan pembunuhan terhadap jaksa penuntut James Glasgow. Setelah seorang narapidana memberitahu jaksa tentang rencana tersebut, lalu memakai alat penyadap untuk dapat menangkap bukti. Dan pada bulan Mei 2016, Drew dinyatakan bersalah setelah adanya hasil rekaman Drew yang meminta pembunuh bayaran untuk mengakhiri hidup James Glasgow.
Somebody killed and was willing to pay for it.
Yes, absolutely. Defendant having the audacity to try to have me killed for doing my job is just a moral outrage. A psychopath. That's what we're dealing with.
I can't believe he was that dumb to do something like that in jail, where he knows that conversations are being recorded all the time. Why would you do something like that?
Now this newest thing with him trying to hire a hitman. It's a huge letdown. It absolutely has cast a shadow over us.
Setelah menerima hukuman 38 tahun penjara, Drew kini kembali dijatuhi tambahan hukuman 40 tahun penjara. Dan setelah hukuman tambahan ini, uang pensiun Drew Peterson dengan pangkat sersan sebesar $79.000 per tahun atau hampir $6.600 per bulannya yang telah ia terima sejak November 2007, kini telah dihentikan. Dan kini, anak-anak Drew Peterson menjadi korban yang terabaikan. Mereka harus menghadapi kenyataan pahit, hancurnya keutuhan keluarga akibat hal buruk yang dilakukan ayahnya.
Everything changed. It was so much to deal with. Obviously it took a toll on my marriage. We ended up splitting up and getting divorced. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And everything that I worked for and built up and, wanted in life is all gone.
You often forget about the other victims, those family members, the people who get a lot less sympathy. Their loss, their grief and their trauma oftentimes gets overlooked because they sort of get bundled up with the perpetrators and they get forgotten as actual victims themselves.
There was a lot of crying, and it was, while it was sad, it was also just a huge weight lifted off you because now you have an answer, now you finally know where your life is going to head.
Kakak Kathleen Savio yang membenci Drew Peterson dan putra sulungnya, Steve. Mereka kini dipertemukan.
I love my sister with all my heart. And, I pray every day. I hate your father. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was so scared of you coming here. I didn't know what to expect. Or you were going to attack me.
I understand it sounds like I'm going to have his laugh and, at the right angle, I even look like him a little bit. Mm-hmm. But that's not me. I understand how you feel about my dad. I do. I understand that. And that's okay.
Did he ever tell you he did it?
Never. Never once. We were told it was an accident. We just accepted that. Honestly, never gave it a second thought that it was anything but that. Your first thought is, no way, my dad wouldn't do that. No way. And then over time, okay, now Stacy's not coming back. And I finally came to the realization, well, maybe he did have something to do with this.
So you're still seeking closure and answers from your dad, too?
I would love
some kind of closure for myself or the kids, but because it won't come from him, we know that.
Steve, why don't you describe to Sue what your dad's actions have done to you, the pain that it's caused you?
It affects everything. I mean, I lost my house, my family, you know, but basically the actions of one, they completely torn apart our family. I mean, our family's definitely not the same.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's been, you know, it's been hell. But again, every day I wake up and, you know, I want to make sure I do right for the kids, just like I did Kathy's boys and got them off to adulthood. I want to do with the next ones.
I'm tired of talking about Drew. Maybe one day I will forgive him, but I doubt it. I just too much hatred for him. I'm so impressed. I really do honor you for taking care of those kids. And I hope that you would accept my friendship and let me have the time with the kids, if I can.
Of course.
I hated you for a long time because of your father. And I see you as a different person, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you. And it's like a big fresh air. I'm so happy. Thank you. I'm so proud of you. Drew doesn't care about Kathleen. He doesn't care about Stacy. He doesn't care about their family. It's all about him. He is worthless.
You know, he was my hero for a long time. He's still my dad. I still love him. I'm not Drew Peterson's son. You know, I'm Steve.
Dan sejak pertemuan itu, mereka berhubungan sangat baik satu sama lain dan saling mengunjungi bersama anak-anak Kathleen. Sementara hilangnya Stacy Peterson masih menjadi misteri. Hingga kini, jasadnya tidak pernah ditemukan. Tetapi keluarga Stacy tidak akan pernah berhenti berusaha untuk menemukannya.
I knew right away that Drew killed her. It's just a matter of where he put her.
Do you believe that Drew Peterson killed Stacy?
100%.
Do you believe he murdered Stacy?
I believe that, yeah, he did. I do.
You have to be angry.
I've gone through the shock and the grief and anger. And I'm so glad he's in jail, where he can't hurt anybody else.
Dan kini, adik ipar Drew Peterson, Norma Peterson, menjadi pelopor dalam program membantu para korban-korban kekerasan dalam rumah tangga. Program ini dapat diakses dengan mudah secara online, serta menyediakan Dropbox untuk menyimpan file atau bukti-bukti kekerasan dengan aman. Bagaimana menurut Sobat Kay semua? Silakan berbagi pendapatnya dengan sikap bijak ke dalam kolom komentar. Dan berikut sejumlah referensi dalam dokumenter kisah nyata Kay Channel kali ini. Serta nantikan dokumenter kisah nyata yang berbeda selanjutnya hanya di YouTube Kay Channel, membuka jendela dunia.